Oh, hey there. My name's Tom Ziegler. What you're about ready to see is me tying the CDC and Elk Caddis at the fly fishing show a few weeks ago in Denver. We're going to utilize tools and materials from Mark Pettijohn, and it's a really good buggy pattern. It's a quick tie, catches a lot of fish, so good luck with it. All right, these are the tools and materials that you're going to need to tie the Elk and CDC Caddis. We put our TMC 100 dry fly hook in. We're using the UTC 70 thread. This fly is basically going to be, we're going to teach some techniques here. All the colors can be varied and to your local waters. So, but it's a good buggy fly. So first what we're going to do is we're going to take two CDC feathers, longer feathers that you have them, if you have them, the longest you can find. In this one, I used, I believe, olive and dirty yellow kind of color to get the caddis body. So we're going to go ahead and take the two of those feathers. We're going to tie them in tips first. We're going to tie them in tips first and together, as you'll see. But I tie them in the middle, then pull them back, then tie down those tips. Just like that. We'll tie it back, tie it forward, move the thread forward. Go ahead and grab your hackle pliers, grab them towards the butt ends of the fiber of the tail of the feathers. So now what we're going to do, after I clip off the butt fibers so they don't get tangled, I'm going to sweep up the fibers of the CDC feather, and we're actually going to turn and wrap it, and that's going to be the body. So you'll kind of see me spinning, pushing them up there as I spin the feathers together. Then I'm going to go ahead and wrap forward. I make a turn of the feather each time I make a turn of the vise. Kind of sweep it up a little bit, and you kind of see that nice buggy body already starting to form. You'll notice I don't use a bobbin holder because they just get in the way. So I just threads wrapping as we go, but that's okay. Sometimes you'll have to unwrap it, but that's not a big deal. We'll go ahead and tie that off. Sometimes the fibers are pretty strong. The CDC feathers are pretty strong. They actually have hollow quills in them. That's why this technique works so well. It's not just the kind of fluffy fibers that you have. It's also the quills themselves. So right here, it looks like a good buggy fly. You could put elk hair right on the top of it. But we're going to go ahead and trim it after I get done there. You might have noticed too that I also flatten the thread, so you can spin your thread counterclockwise to flatten it, to tie down and get a good base and not too much buildup. So what you'll find now is I'm trimming that off, kind of a mayfly or caddisfly body shape, kind of pointed towards the back, kind of thicker towards the front. That's in relation to my both the trimming that you're seeing me do and the way we tied in the feather. So I think it's past the point of catching fish right there. So we'll move on to the next thing. So what now we're going to do is we're going to prep our deer hair, or check it, elk hair. The elk hair has hollow pockets in it and allows it to flare a little bit. Because it has hollow pockets, it also is very good to float. So what we're doing now is we've got to get all that under fur out of there. So I have a diameter about the size of a pencil. Went ahead and get the under fur out of there on both sides, tips and butts of the fiber. Kind of sweep it out. Now, of course, we stack it. We got to even the tips up because fish aren't going to bite it if there's a hair out of place, right? So we're going to go ahead then and tap that in our stacker. You're going to see me put this at a 45-degree angle to kind of pile up the fibers on the bottom. Tap it. Now everything's nice and loaded in there. Always want to point the hair the way it's going to go on the hook. So it was already pointed back. That's why I took it out of the stacker. So just go ahead and even it out, measure it out to where the tips are towards the bend of the hook. You can kind of see me flare that hair. This is 70 denier thread, and I'm still able to flare that. But if you pull any tighter, you're gonna end up breaking it. So Go ahead and check everywhere, kind of spread it out as you need to. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to trim off all those butt fibers. And you're going to notice with the end point here is going to be, it's going to be at an angle. I'm not going to cut it straight up and down. And the reason for that is we want the thread to be able to touch as many fibers as possible. And that's why we trim that at an angle. So we're tying at the fly fishing show here. So there was a lot of people watching us here too. So if you haven't been to a fly fishing show in your area, definitely come out to the one in Denver there. So let's see. So go ahead and trim that off to an angle. That's probably good enough there. Get your thread nice and flat. That's what I did there. I just spun it. You couldn't see it, but I spun it counterclockwise to get it a little flat. Make a nice base. And these are all the techniques, the body, and what you're going to see here for the legs coming up are all Mark Pettijohn designs. Basically, this is a combination. I've used his techniques and his materials just with an elk hair wing. Helps it float a little bit in our waters here in the Front Range of Colorado. It's a great stillwater fly for high mountain lakes. Um, it works really well. So now what you're going to see is some of the tools that Mark Pettijohn provides. This is just ice dub. We're going to put ice dub in what they call a table clip. And it was pretty windy at the show, so I actually had to put it put it in there. We were under a ventilation system there, so I put the ice dub in the actual clip, and that clip just holds material. Is exactly what it sounds like. I'm going to pick out a couple more long CDC feathers, the longest you can get. There's the olive. I'm going to go ahead and get what they call the dirty yellow. Roughly the same length. Kind of prep the fibers by sweeping them out. Do that on both. And put one on top of the other, kind of with the curves, so they curve up uh, just like that. Want that curve the same. Now we're going to move these two feathers into the clip with the ice dub in it. And then what it's going to do is it's going to fold all the fibers up straight up and down. It makes a click if we were using that audio there. Now I'm going to get my little needle tool and kind of get the ice dub to lay kind of straight, just kind of straighten it out and make it look nice. Cut off the ends. I'm going to go ahead and use another clip there. That's part of the little tool set that you can get. I'm going to cut off those quills just like that. And now we got really cool material to put in either a dubbing loop, or what I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to split the thread. On the smaller flies, I like to split the thread. So you'll see me sweeping out that kind of the binding of the thread there. Take my needle, make it go half and half as best you can. Put your finger just at the very tip there, so you don't bump everything out. So you'll see that thread is just at the very tip. I'm going to go ahead then and put the material in from that clip. And you folks will probably guessing what I'm going to be doing next after I get those feathers in, the fibers in. We're going to go ahead and spin that clockwise. That bobbin's just spinning and spinning and spinning. My finger's blocking that spinning motion, but when I let it go and push it up, it just naturally spins just like that. So I'll go ahead and put some more spin on it. And while I'm doing that, I'm going to pick out the ice dub. The ice dub kind of gets tangled up with the fibers. The fibers do that um, also, but with the ice dub, it really kind of tangles up a little bit. This is a pretty durable fly. One thing when you're using CDC, you want to use. Oh, there we go. So I'm going to wrap behind the wing, kind of prop it up a little bit. Now I'm going to sweep back those fibers back to the back, kind of pick out a few here and there. There are always ones that are going to get you. So sweep it back and wrap that forward. So because we're not using a dubbing loop, um, you're going to have to use all of this. You're going to have to get it right. So that's what you saw me do there. It was a little bit tight, so I pushed it back with my fingernail before I make a nice thread head. So we want to tie it off right there. You'll see me use the Mattarelli style whip finisher. Then I'll bounce the thread back and forth. You'll kind of see that, bounce it back and forth, kind of jam that knot in. That's why my finger is on there so it don't break. There, we're done with that. Now we want to go ahead and pick out some of those fibers. You can kind of see them tangled up on amongst themselves. They'll really puff out here. There we go. That looks a lot better. And when we're talking about the floatants and stuff, we want to be able to use like CDC oil. One little that's what I end up using, the CDC oil. We don't want to use normal gel. So now we spin it over the bottom. We want to get a nice flat when it lands on the water, nice flat look. So we'll go ahead and trim up those rogue fibers because again, the fish are going to care. So we want to go ahead and trim some of those out. Make it look buggy. I've seen this video once as we've edited it, and there's going to be one that's going to be annoyingly there that I'm going to leave. You can probably guess which one. It's that big long one there in the front. So yeah, that's the Elk Hair CDC Caddis based on Petitjean's methods and tools.